shortage of that either. But remember, there's no shortage of the good stuff either. Okay, so the 3 things at the end of the day, 3 good things. Okay? The next one is top 10 things you're thankful for. You know what, it could be the same thing every day, but I would say don't make it the same thing every day. But write down 10 things that you're thankful for every day. Again, it gets your focus on the things that are going right in your life. And believe me, there's a lot going right in your life. And the more you start to focus on that stuff, the more it brings more of it into your life, right? That again can be really tough. But the third thing, this is one that I suggested to everybody that I talk to because I just think it is so important. But you will not believe how hard this one is. 50 things, 50 successes that you have had in your life. And this is like from the time you started walking, right? I'm saying going back to the very beginning of when you can remember anything about your life. Like for me, 4th grade long jump. I was really skinny and I had really long legs and I could jump really far. So I had to put that on my list. But when I first started doing this, I read it in a book somewhere that it was a good idea to do that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And I got to about, I struggled to get to 50. And I'm thinking, I can't believe it. I can't think of anything more. But make yourself, because believe me, you've had 50 successes in your life. Make the list. Put it in a document on your computer. Save it as your 50 successes. Put it on your desktop. And do it before the end of the weekend. Do this. Because when you're feeling really crummy, and you're feeling like, we all go through this, we'll have a little pity party sometimes. Just do it. It happens. I know every single one of you have them. We all do. But when you're feeling like that, you take a look at this list. And you realize, I'm not a loser after all. Look at all the stuff that I've really done. Some of it was bigger than others, doesn't matter. But now you see what you have to draw on. And oh, by the way, the more you think about the things that were going right before you have, like, let's say you've got a big interview coming up, the more you think about the fact that, I did all these things really well. You start focusing on the things you're good at and the fact that you're capable of doing such amazing things, you actually perform better in those tasks that you're doing. So before you go into the interview, remind yourself, throw your shoulders back. Remember, hey, I did that, list them off. Print that thing out, take it with you in the car on the way over to the interview. So that you come across with confidence. Don't be cocky, but have confidence. And that's a better way to sell yourself than anything else that you can do, right? Anybody have anything to add to that? I don't want to. Any personal experiences? No? Okay.
Well, I was going to comment on, being a father and two boys, I'm thinking I need to sit there and have these kind of conversations with them.
Excellent.
Let's list your, the 3 things you did great today in school. And you kind of mentioned the report card too, but just every day trying to bring
It is so.
Yeah.
And that brings up a good point. Yes?
Just being from essentially the overconfidence generation that I am from, where I will see some of my peers who go out and will interview for positions that I am shocked about. Like, you, sir, should never have that job. They would make a poor decision with that. But, I've been surprised with how some people are finding different positions just by going out and impressing their employers by having, I suppose, gumption and gusto about themselves. And no, they don't get hired for those positions, which I'm thankful for. But they do make a good impression.
Good.
And
they're learning from that.
Yeah.
Whenever you go through those situations, you put yourself in a comfortable situation like that, you really do learn. So even if they don't get that one, when they go to the next one, they just build some more skills, right? And with regard to the to children and bringing them up in terms of paying attention to the positive things. I would like to just mention that one thing that I have noticed in general with just general population is there is a real lack of gratitude, just in general. And I don't really know how you address it with people. I've seen it in my own family. I just want to impress upon you that when someone does something for you, take that extra step, send them a thank you email. You know, I don't know what somebody may have done for you in the past, but if somebody does something for you, thank them for it. Really make that like, you know what, I'm going to make this a more grateful world, because, you know, people wonder why things don't continue to happen good for them, because I know things are happening good for people because I'll do things. And I'll give you an example. This is probably one of my pet peeves, but I just recently, I have a couple of really cool nephew and aunt niece. Brand new. I got a brand new nephew, and he's a Dalmatian. So I find stuff all the time, and I'm sending it up here, and I know they're grateful for it, but I never hear anything from them on it. And I really want to reach out to them and say, you know, it's so important. I know they're grateful, but what if other people are doing that for them? They don't know, right? And it doesn't ever hurt, because let me tell you something, when people do things for you, they're not really doing it for you. They're doing it for what it makes them feel like, right? Because we're all about us. No matter how much we want to say, oh, like, you know, we're all about everybody else. We are, but if you really get down to it, everything we do is for ourselves, our self-preservation. We're trying to better ourselves so we feel better about ourselves, right? We're trying to do something for somebody else so we feel better about ourselves. So just always know, when people are doing things for you, it's really about them, and they really want to be acknowledged for that. And you will be in a better situation if you'll do that. So that's my little soapbox there. Sorry about that. I just think it's really important, and I do think it does make a difference in our lives overall.
Anne Rand thought that was important too.
Did she?
It's about self.
Yeah,
The objective is taking care of yourself is taking care of others.
it is. Well, you know, it's the whole thing about, you know, when you're on the airplane, they say put your own mask on first if there's an emergency. Because you can't help anybody else if you're not.
But it's about independence. That's America.
Yeah.
The rugged individuals. We need to remind our Congress about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. I started talking and then I didn't go through that slide, so anyway. Okay, so what is your boulder in the road? What is the big thing that is your adversity right now? There's a couple of different things that we can look at. The things that I hear a lot is either I have too much education or not enough education. I've got too much experience or not enough experience. And that's, I've got age on there, but it's kind of code for I'm too old or I'm too young, right? Appearance, I'm not good looking enough, I'm too good looking, and whatever it is, there's always an excuse. And gender, well, they're looking for a man, or they're looking for a woman, right? So, how do you get past these?
The low is better.
That's one way. That's one way.
That's what the government wants to reward.
Seems like it sometimes. Okay, so let's just take education for a second. We're not going to have time to deconstruct all those in terms of trying to find out how could we attack the education problem. So if you're in a situation where you have what you consider too much education, is there anybody in that situation right now? Does anybody feel like they're okay, all right. And so how are you addressing that right now? When you go into, when you're doing your interviews or when you're sending your resume out, how are you handling it right now, or do you just, yes?
I'm the one with the 3 master's degrees. How
Okay.
I handle it is I like to know what it's about. Knowledge is power.
Okay,
I'm trying to get as much information to balance the engineering business world more value to their corporation. So I see that as an asset.
Okay, good.
So I use my van. I'm not hiding it. It is who I am. And the more knowledge we have as an organization and as an industry, the better decisions we're going to have to make in the future.
I agree.
So I don't hide from it. This is who I am.
And you know, since that's a key area for you, and as I mentioned before, being true to yourself with your job search, the things that you're passionate about, I agree with that. In this situation, and this is just a suggestion because I actually really like the way you're viewing that, and I do agree with that. If you find that it has been an impedance for you in certain situations that you wanted, there's no reason why you have to list everything. You can list different things, and I would recommend that you have different resumes that focus on different areas that you have done at different times. There's no reason why you can't do that. But you look at your own situation and find out what's key for you, because I do like that. And for me, I feel the same way in terms of education and how we develop ourselves. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we need to do, is just really focus on making ourselves as well-rounded as we can. So just a couple of suggestions there for either way. If you're finding that you've got too much, there's that option. If you're finding that you have too little, if for whatever reason when you got into the industry, maybe let's say in the 70s or the 80s, and if you were one of those lucky folks that was working for some place for 25, 30 years, you might have found yourself out of the job market again, and suddenly now they require a bachelor's degree for that same thing that you didn't need a bachelor's degree back when you first were doing it. However, you've got like 30 years experience, so anybody walking out of school with a bachelor's degree, you could still hammer them in a heartbeat, because you still know all the practical information as well as the stuff that they know, right? So probably the biggest thing that I can suggest is if you're in that kind of a situation, your experience really is an asset. And there's nothing that says that policies can be changed, job descriptions can be changed to require different things. It depends on the company, it depends on the people you're talking to. It's not going to happen across the board. But everything's negotiable if you get right down to it. So don't let that be a serious problem for you. If you find that you really do want to increase your education, you want to go back to school and handle that, it's just something that you decided, I don't want to have to deal with this anymore, then by all means, go forth and complete the education. Yeah.
I thought you were going to go a little further with this and say everything can change except your experience, and everything's negotiable except your experience.
Yeah.
And as far as too much education, you say, if you think education is expensive, just try ignorance. That bumper sticker.
Yeah. There was another, you might not want to say that to the HR person. I totally agree with you.
If they need to hear it, they need to hear it.
Well, it's true. It's true.
Shoot straight, be honest, and if they don't want to hear the message, there are others who will respond to it.
Yeah, I would like to just kind of throw out there, though.
Politics is what's got us in this mess.
Well, I would challenge you to find any situation out there that doesn't have politics in it.
And it's a big mess.
Well,
So,
we won't go down that road right now. But the bottom line is that, you're out there looking for a position.
But I think to me, the big takeaway is what you said when you said, don't have a single resume. I try to tailor every resume that I submit. I mean, I have a core,
Right. Yeah.
but try and look at, and it's difficult sometimes to figure out what are they really looking for? What are the key skills? What are the key words?
Pay attention to that, too.
And yeah, I'm like the gentleman over there, I've got a certain degree of education. But if that's don't flaunt it. That's not what they really care about. Try and focus and tailor to what is it. And it's hard to do to read on a piece of paper, knowledge, skills, abilities, qualifications and such. But to me, that's what's key.
Yeah, yeah, and to your point about having a core resume and then, you know, tailor it. Because you've got experience that can be transitioned where it can be used in different areas. There's transferable skills that you have that they can be used. You know, a mother that may not have worked out in the workforce and suddenly find herself, now she's got to go back to work. Well, I'm not here to tell you, a woman that runs kids' lives, organizes a home, and does a good job of it. Now, granted, not everybody's good at it, right? But if she's good at that, she's got some serious transferable skills, right? So you can work that into your resumes, and don't be afraid to do that. Yes?
I was kind of, this gentleman in front kind of encapsulated much of what I was going to say in that respect. The gentleman over here that has the MBAs, we have to be careful not to think of, well, I've always said, you know, education's not a destination, it's a journey. Transcend that, not in such a scientific format, and you were touching on that with the parent that is my actual mom, and my parents divorced at age 12, 13, and she transferred those skills and started a very successful real estate career. So actually became one of state of Kentucky's first prominent real estate school instructor in the whole state. Yeah, around 1965. I didn't mean to get on to that, but try to relate to yourself, and then maybe in the resume. And I'm lacking that way on the resume. You know, trying to get better at that.
Okay.
Because, and I kind of had a problem with some of that before I started attending this, thinking that I'm not doing it from the purest standpoint. This is who I am. Why am I trying to be the comedian? You know, is that true? Is that honest? And you know what I mean? Because there's so much embellishment but I've embraced that, and I need to get better at that. So,
yeah, I see where you're coming from with that.
But
You do want to be true.
but we have to, the most important point is, look at the artistry of the education, not the scientific part, how much, what, here. Because usually the more educated, with all due respect, I don't care what it is, Abe Lincoln has reading books or whatever, but the more education someone has, usually the more cultural diverse they are, the more understanding, and that goes to a higher level, and it also relates to transferable skills to leadership, interpersonal skills, getting along with others, and establishing and understanding the compassion in the workplace. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we tend to, you know, I don't care if it's a master's in business, it still is the business of people. So education
Yeah, never forget.
establishes cultural diversity then.
What it comes down to is the people that you're working with, people that you're interviewing with. If you're trying to develop a relationship with them, because they're the ones that understand. Everybody has their own little screen and their own little filter, and how they decide whether or not you're right for the job. And they'll twist it and turn it however they need to get you in if they think that you are going to be a real asset to their company. Trust me, they will. They'll find a way to get you in, one way or the other. So you want to develop those relationships. You want to, you know, when you go to an interview, send a thank you card. Make sure you pick up a card so that, you know, that usually somebody has a business card on their desk. Take the card, and be sincere about it. You should be grateful that they took the time to interview you. Yes.
One of the things I do before I go on an interview, I go on LinkedIn, I research the person.
Oh, good.
So right away, I can tell if they have a couple of master's degrees, so I know the value of education. And if they don't, maybe they just have a bachelor's degree, which is okay. I won't harp on my master's degree, I just say I have engineering business background. So I'll tone it down depending on the person I'm speaking with.
Good.
But
Yeah.
also it's a fit. I'm looking for someone, company that believes in education, because that's my personality. And if there's not a fit, really, do I want to work for a company that we don't have the
Good
same
point.
interests?
Good point.
So I'm
Think
looking for
about
a
that.
match, both ways, not just me with them also.
Yeah, think about the culture of the companies that you're going to see, and, you know, you may go into an interview, and when you go in, you look around, you go, there's no way I'm gonna work here. You know, I mean, you can see that. Try to be true to yourself, and, you know, go through with the interview because it's good practice, and since you had the opportunity, go for it. But, don't take a job with a place that is not a good fit for you, because it'll end up, first of all, it could end up bringing out the worst in you, which you don't want to happen. Yeah, and the other thing is that there's other things out there for you. Never forget, there's a ton of opportunity out there. We just have to be open to it and aware of it, okay? So we've spent a lot of time on education. Yes?
May I just say that I interviewed with a big company located on the east side of Tampa over near 75. And one of the things that came up in the interview, you talk about fit, I'm a big believer in fit. The person that I was interviewing with for a contract position is informed me, and of course there was a discussion that said, oh, well, yeah, we're gonna expect you to be here for 10 hours a day, but you'll only bill us for 8. Click. Number one, I have to personally believe that's illegal, but I guarantee you, I'm no longer submitting applications to that major multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah, you know, you have to pay attention to that. You know, pay attention.
And on the flip side of your statement about if you have connected with someone, they're gonna go out of their way to try and get you in. If they're of a mindset that they're trying to screen people out, if we're all adjusting our resumes to try and fit what they're really looking for, can they kind of smell that and get like tired of it? Like, well, not everybody that's applying can have bang, 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 all those
Okay.
things.
When I say adjusting, I don't mean budget.
Right.
As an HR person, and all the rest of you HR people know what I'm talking about, when you get resumes of people that they don't even have. They don't have a thimbleful of the skills that they're saying that they have. And sometimes it comes out in an interview. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are actually really good interviewers. So if they bluffed on their resume, and then they get into the interview, and they happen to be a really good interviewer, and some people are. Some people, you know, they have the gift of whatever it is that, you know, they get into a situation like that and they just swoon everybody. I'm not talking about that. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that didn't even occur to me that that might be a misconception that might be taken. But that is not what I'm talking about. If you really have skills that are transferable, and you know that they are transferable, or you have skills in another area, or in that area, but you know, you have to do some word crafting to make it fit. That's one thing. But no, I'm not talking about fudging on your resume. Don't do that. It's a waste of your time, it's a waste of their time. And then, you know, word gets out. It really does. It gets out for businesses, just like it does for candidates. There was a time I was recruiting for a company, and I happen to know quite a few engineers because my husband is an engineer and we worked in the same company for a while, so I know a lot of them. And I knew that some of them were in transition, so I reached out to them, found out what company it was. Thanks, but no thanks. Not that desperate. So, you know, everybody needs to keep their self in line. Okay, I'm running a little bit behind. I'm good? Okay. All right. Habits are the next thing. I promised we were going to talk about habits a little bit. I would recommend when you're in this situation right now, you're not working outside, you do have a job, right? Your job is finding a job, right? I would recommend you get into a habit of Sunday night, first of all, come up with some way of determining what you're going to accomplish for the week. But Monday morning and every other morning of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you get yourself up and be ready for work by 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock at the latest. And I don't mean you have to have a suit on, but be showered. You know, if you're a woman, have your makeup on, or if you're a guy, be shaved and, you know, ready, like you would be ready to go to work. And then sit down and do your work, you know, on the computer. You know, if you're gonna do your resume work in the morning, if you're gonna do research on certain companies to move in that direction, to get, you know, trying to develop some connections, whether you're doing some searching on LinkedIn or Facebook or connecting with other people that you've known over the years, whatever it is, you do it, and then you start to just craft your day that way. But get yourself up, get yourself to bed at night, don't stay up all night watching movies, get yourself up in the morning, and go forth just like it is a job. And you'll get a lot more done. You'll feel a lot better about yourself as well when you do that. Your habits are so important. Some of the key areas to include in your schedule. We mentioned the computer, networking. Some of the areas you may want to try. Chambers have their mixers listed on their website. Who goes to chamber mixers?
Business people.
Business people, exactly. People that have companies. So those are the people you want to meet, right? You want to develop the relationships with those folks. So go on the websites, maybe there's a chamber near you. Go to several different chamber websites and find out what they've got going on. One of the things that you can do, and I'm saying this to myself as much as I am to you, because you can't imagine how therapeutic it is to try to bring these things together. Create a blog, and that's one of the things on my list of things to do. What does it do when you create a blog and you start blogging about maybe your area of expertise? It positions you as the expert. And then you start, you know, there's followers that come along. If you're on Twitter, that's something that I haven't done yet either. But Twitter, you can recommend certain things and maybe put in a couple of comments, you know, to help boost the fact that, you know, you're familiar with a certain topic. But you can do things to actually improve your standing in your area, right? Now, something that we don't talk about a lot is sports. And believe it or not, sports is a pretty good way to do some networking, and oh, by the way, it's fun. If you golf, that's a great way to get out and do some networking. I don't think it's any secret that there's a lot of business that's either done on the golf course or at the Nike Bowl, right? If you are maybe a basketball player, you can do pickup games for basketball in different areas. I don't know if the YMCA has them. There's racquetball, paintball I've never done, but it's pretty messy. Maybe you're a dancer, you know, but all of these things, you can do things around other people. The main thing is when you're doing something, get yourself around people, because the people you get around know other people, or they have a job to which they know about opportunities coming up in their businesses or their friends' businesses. Okay? Painting, you know, they have painting classes so that you're around other people that paint and, you know, you have common interests. The other thing is volunteering. Who here are volunteers? Has anybody volunteered? Awesome. Great. That's such a wonderful way to get yourself out there. First of all, put you around people, right? There's like 6 or 7 different reasons why that's great. First of all, you're around people. Second of all, you're helping people, so you're getting your mind off yourself, which is a really important thing to do. Third, you're using skills, whether it's skills you need on the job or other skills, but you're keeping your skills sharp. You're learning new things generally, because the volunteering situation, usually you find yourself in a situation where you have to be creative, right? Because the reason you're volunteering is because they don't have any money, and now you need to, you need to put your skills and creativity into work. So you're learning new skills, using your own skills. Other volunteers are watching what you're doing, so they're seeing you in action. They're getting a feel for your work ethic. They know how creative you are. Are you an innovative person? Do you take the initiative? Are you responsible? Do you show up on time? Right? You carry your share of the load. And then finally, they're working other places, and they have the contacts at the places that they work. Or they know people that have contacts other places. And all these things kind of help you to be more resilient as you feel better about what you're doing if you're helping other people. You feel better about yourself, and that projects to other people. Can't you see when you meet someone and they don't feel good about themselves? You can tell that, right? How do we tell it? I mean, like, what are the telltale signs of somebody that doesn't feel good about themselves?
Body language, eye contact,
Yeah.
is the way they hold themselves.
Yeah, the language. Yeah. Well, it's really a bummer, but I don't know what happened, but
It's kind of the New York complex.
it's huge. So anything you can do to boost your confidence and get yourself, pumped up. Have your Eye of the Tiger music in the car. It kind of gets you, makes you feel like $1 million. So let's evaluate our habits. Some of the things that we're doing. What time are you getting up in the morning? Are you getting yourself ready like you're going to go to work? Do you have a schedule? This scorecard that I mentioned can kind of help with that. Where I got this idea, I actually belong to something called, I'm taking a class right now, it's called Certified Networker through Referral Institute. And it's open to anyone that wants to do it. Networking is one of those things that nobody teaches you really how to do it. Like, you can't, if you're in a marketing degree, you can't take networking 101 because it doesn't exist, to my knowledge. I've never heard of anybody. I think there's maybe 2 institutions in the United States that teach networking. But it's one of the biggest things that people, you talk to a business owner, they ask, where do you get most of your business? And they'll say referral. Well, wouldn't it be a good idea to maybe teach us how to do it? So anyway, this organization does do that. And one of the things that they created for us is a networking scorecard. And this is not the networking scorecard, but it's kind of a version of that. And when you take a look at it, you'll see that it does kind of help you to plan your activities for the week. And you can kind of, when you first start it, this is what happens. I know this from experience. You start working it, and it's like Friday morning before you have to turn it in, and that's when you're filling it out. And then as you start to realize, whoops, it'd be better if I actually paid attention to this during the week. So then you start doing it like, you start making it on a separate sheet of paper because you haven't gotten to the point where you're keeping it out in front of you. So then you start making it on paper, and you're still not keeping accurate count, right? Because it's not really on the scorecard. And then eventually, when you finally, you're like, all right, why don't I just plan this into my week so that I actually get the stuff done when I should be doing it, and it works. It's really something. So consider doing that. When you're looking at your habits, just be truthful with yourself and keep track. It will help you. Okay, so any questions before I close? Isn't that funny? I have that card right by my desk because I think that's the funniest thing. Yes, ma'am.
Could you read what's on the list of the 20 things that you printed out?
On the 20 things.
Yeah. The handout.
Oh,
What's on there? I'm just curious.
what I have, it's not 20. I have, under activities, it's resumes submitted, networking mixers, which would be chambers and associations, whatever it is that apply to your particular industry. Sports, reading and self-improvement material, listening to self-improvement material, like whether it's tapes, cassettes, I'm dating myself now. CDs.
8-track.
Yeah. I do remember those. So listening to self-improvement material, volunteer activities that you're doing and involved in, LinkedIn activity, blogging, and then there's enough room for you to write some other things on there, any notes that you want to write. And I would keep these and refer back to them, because you'll make discoveries on it. And you know what, if some of you want this, here. Pardon? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so for my last, I'm going to wrap up here. Nobody has any more questions? Yes, sir.
Would you say again, what it was you found that course or class or whatever?
Oh, the Referral Institute.
Referral Institute? That's
Yes,
the name
and
of
I
it?
can get you the contact name and information from the person. Okay, so here's the question. If you have 3 frogs sitting on a lily pad and one decides to jump off, how many do you have? 3. Somebody knows. 2, 3? I have takers for 2 and 3. You actually have 3. You know why? Because deciding doesn't make anything happen. It's not until you take action that anything happens.